Joining me today, I got my main man, now three-time champion, Coach Chris Scott. Coach, thank you very much for taking a minute with me here today.
Thank you for having me. And I guess that three time is still settling in. Maybe I got to pinch myself a little bit, but definitely proud of our guys and how we finished up at the end of the year. The only one team's gonna be happy, and with the way things ended, and we definitely got a chance to be that team, and I'm proud of the guys.
Now, we're recording this on Monday, December the 20th. Of course, approximately 9 days ago from this interview, you all knocked off the Madison Warhawks to win what was your second consecutive with Oscar Smith. Talk to me about this. Kind of, how does this one compare to the one in the spring, and how does it compare to your first?
I think the first one is obviously one where, had been there, came up a couple inches short, and then had a chance to win one in 2014. And obviously that's special. That was an overtime type of win. And but then you get to Smith, and the first year there, arguably we come up inches short against South County. Right before the half, have one called off the board as we kind of went ahead late. And then, I knew the team coming back was going to be really, really strong. And them not having a chance to take the field was kind of scary, because I felt like it was going to be one of the best teams I had a chance to put on the field ever. And they got a chance to unleash their built up, I wouldn't call it revenge, but all of that,
Yeah.
Wanting to get back and play that game over and over again, and not knowing if that was really going to happen, and all of a sudden being able to get to it in May. That was super exciting. And just to know, you held a panel with some areas not being able to have their athletics up and going, and how we were able to make sure that happened, and then able to get to a season. I knew how hard and difficult and all the stresses that were being put on our student athletes were. But I think some people might have looked at that last short spring season like, was it a real season? I kind of look at it as, I think a lot of teams were let off the hook to not let that team play a full 15 game schedule, in my opinion. So I think this last one really kind of maybe put an exclamation point on it to let people know that last year mattered and how difficult that was, and then to be able to come back, even though it's with somewhat of a different team than some of those guys that moved on as seniors. But to be able to do that, it just really solidified the entire year, which has not been the best for all of us on the field or off the field. But you turn around and you make it to end really, really well, and end for those guys. You feel really great about it.
I'm going to hammer down on this Madison game in just a moment here, but I do want to go back to that spring championship that you all won against South County. Now, Coach, for anybody who didn't see that, who wasn't there in person, during the first half, bro, I thought you all were going to put up 100. Like, I really thought that you all were going to put 100 points on the board. You spoke to this a little bit, but was there a bit amongst your squad that wanted to show that maybe you all were the better program when you lost the year before?
Yeah, I think that the guys, definitely when you could, they were calling it this year, we had a chance to play the trilogy, like the fact that I think the kids really respected the athletes that we played against, and last year when they had a chance to take on South County again, you always find that extra little juice, whatever it is, to make you want to go. And they beat us, and we saw them celebrate and rush the field and get a chance to take all those pictures and all that kind of stuff. And they did that right down in the Hampton Road 757 area,
757, Coach. Yeah, man.
So that for us, that obviously is going to always add a little bit of sting, because we always want to make sure we make the 757 proud, and we felt like coming up a little short. And I know that game in May, and that championship game, it couldn't have been better scripted, with us being at Oscar Smith, and then clicking on all cylinders. I mean, things just really, a lot of things went our way. They have great coaching, great talent, but our guys just came out of the gate really, really strong. And that first half, It just felt like we had an answer for a lot of things, and they answered back. Spalding is a dude now. I mean, he can go on anywhere. 757 Northern Virginia, wherever you put him, he can go. And and he comes back and answers a big one, and then Ethan comes back, and I think that for that group of seniors that we have now, a lot of those juniors were helping leading the way. Coville having a coming out of the party deal that game, and a big play right before the half, and and then obviously Ethan with a big run down the sideline shows his athleticism against a very athletic team, especially some of those guys that they had in speed wise. So we definitely wanted to take it as making a statement, and I think that the guys did a great job of doing that coming out last year. Or I would say last season, right?
Just a few months ago,
Right.
Yeah. Now, look, you know how important it is for me to make this clear, and so for anyone who may not know, I'm a 757 guy. I'm born and bred down in 757. I've made my living, my career, my family here in the DMV area for the last few years, but this game against Madison, I've watched them. I have been part and parcel with everything that they've done all season long. They were one of the most technically sound teams that I've played. They were one of the most toughest teams that I've played. They had a strong senior class that had played together for years and years. They almost took South County out to prevent you all from playing them. This was a solid team, bro. This was a tough victory.
Well, I think that all of those things we went over with our guys that you just kind of mentioned, and some of the things, I always talk about the power of belief is the most powerful thing in all the world, right? And when you can get a team believing in it together, so that team right there, Madison truly believed that it should have been Smith and them playing, and they had been playing so long together. So all those things of the love that they have for one another, looking at the interviews and going back and doing our research on them, that belief they had, we knew was going to be a big part of the game plan, because that gives you that extra juice, that gives you that extra will to try to fight through those moments. So we knew that we were going to have an offensive line that would come off the ball and really try to impose their will and as a unit, and we knew that running back would do the same. We had a chance in a lot of cases to kind of keep him bottled up, and then all of a sudden you see him going out the back gate, and you're like, you take a deep breath, but had some, made some tackles before he could turn some 10-yard gains into some long yards that you've seen him kind of finish that. And then at the end of the day, I mean, Caleb Jones in the middle, headed to Navy. He's one of the top defensive tackles I've had a chance to ever coach. He had a player of the year really the last two seasons, the type of season that he's had. And reminds me very much of Derek Nottie, who's playing in the NFL right now, played for me at OL and is with Kansas City. So him demanding the double teams up front allowed, I think, some of our other guys to kind of make some tackles and to clog some of those holes to where they could bounce. But I mean, they hit a good trap against us, and the quarterback, had some solid runs against us as well. But we knew it was going to be one of those deals where they believe in a physical type of brand of football. Our philosophy always is the most physical team is going to win, and that we call it again every year. We call it, we're going to look for the monster that is going to make us better, and we call it going to look for Grendel. Grendel makes Beowulf better, and that's right. And so we felt it was going to be like one of those games, and that they were going to present adversity and challenge us in ways that other teams haven't. And they came in here ready to do that with a well-coached, well-disciplined, and gritty team that's used to playing those types of games. We embraced that. And then I think we were able to kind of, get some big hits early on offensively that made that type of style for them something that they were able to pull all the way within, the 3 points within that third quarter. But we were able to kind of obviously impose our will physically and took pride in that and finishing it up.
Now, you mentioned the term physicality a couple of times in your response there, and that's a perfect segue to my next question. There are some out there, and none of them are amongst the Madison student athletes, because again, this is a tough team, this is a prideful team, whom I'm sure to a man would say that they lost to the better team on this day. But there are some out there, we ain't gonna say no names, but it might be Joe Ball. Some out there who have pointed to some of the aggression and some of the physical play that you all played with and said that it went out of bounds. What would your response be to that? Were there any holds on the part of defensive backs or so? Is that the reason why you all won that game?
Oh, well, we believe in our brand, and that's gonna, we believe with obviously playing a physicality type of ball, but doing it within the rules. So certainly, I thought our guys answered that call. Had some opportunities out on the outside with some of their receivers that they like to throw the ball up. That's made some good plays. We got to be physical there. The point of contact, going up for the ball, I think we were physical as the quarterback is trying to get the ball off. So all in all, I mean, to answer that, I felt like it was a well called game. I thought it was fair up and down. At the end of the day, when you're hoping and wishing that a team that that you believe in, I'm sure that Joe, I'm not saying that he's maybe a little bit of bias, but for us, Georgia loves their brand of football when they're in Georgia, and Alabama loves it when they're in Alabama. But I think that both teams could agree that it was a physical game and that it was played respectfully in those confines, and our guys answered the call. So did they.
That's what I believe. Again, Madison came up short, but I'm sure that they have a lot to be proud of with their season, and I don't believe that they would attempt to take anything away from you all. I want to go back to the beginning of your year. At the beginning of the year, you decided to take on this huge matchup and to play Bosco, a national powerhouse. They came down to the Tiger Cage. Big-time matchup. You all fell short in that game. But what did you learn about your squad in playing Bosco, and what did it teach you all, and how did it help you moving forward?
I think that playing those games at the beginning of the year is, for one, it's been a tradition there at Oscar Smith. I mean, they've brought in some big-time teams. DeMatha has come down a couple times to play them. We definitely feel at Oscar Smith that we're one of the top public schools in the country that can have a chance to play with any program. Private school wise, Bosco is at the top, and I know that you guys in DC are accustomed to seeing a lot of private school talent. And with that said, we want our guys to be able to want to go against the best, and we were bringing in one of the country's best. I think that when you go back and look at the film, we played a lot closer in the game than the score would indicate, especially physically. We made it tough on them to run the ball. We tackled really well. So from there, I felt like, it was something that got us prepared for playoff and championship caliber football, and helped us in the playoffs.
Now, Coach, I consider you not just one of my favorite coaches and being down from in the 757, but I consider you a friend, bro. So since I consider you a friend, I'm going to keep this real. As much as I want to see you and I want to see the Tigers knock off Bosco and knock off teams from Vegas and California and everywhere else, I want to see you play the best team here in Maryland. I want to see Oscar Smith, top public school in VA, take on one of the top public schools here in Maryland, and I want to see that DMV clash. What's it going to take, Coach? What is it going to take to see the Tigers lined up with a Quince Orchard, John Kelly, if you're listening, with a Wise Pumas, Coach Parrish, if you're listening? Can we see that happen and make the whole damn DMV happen?
Yeah, shoot, definitely. We got some openings right now where we're trying to fill at the beginning of the year. If they have that, then and it's something that we can obviously work out with all the travel arrangements. My number starts with 757.
Now, look, I know because again, as soon as I say this, there's a lot of people that start with that whole week 0, week 1 talk. Yeah,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're open right now for both of those weeks. Um, and so obviously it has to, with how scheduling occurs, being locked in for a home and away. I'm not sure how what their opening is, but honestly, I would love for you to be able to get me in contact with those coaches, or as they hear this, get in contact with me. And if we can't make it happen this year, let's make it happen as soon as possible. But I think that would definitely be a great opportunity for us. Again, Oscar Smith's been used to doing that, playing the teams in Carolina. Making our way up through Maryland would be a great opportunity, and I mean that's what people want to see. The best on the East Coast play against one another, and I'm sure those top tier programs want to do that as well. Let's make it happen.
I agree, bro. And look, in my heaven, my representation of heaven, it includes a few of our teams all getting together and playing a jamboree one day at a college stadium. But that's a different conversation. We'll talk about that another day. Looking forward for the Tigers, beyond that game versus Coach Kelly's Quince Orchard squad, but beyond that, what's next for your team? What do you want to take this team to? What do the next 3 to 5 years look like?
I think that we always talk at Oscar Smith about standing on the shoulders of giants, and that's because there has been a established program here, and great past and former coaches and great past and former talent. And so our job each and every year is to try to take it one step higher. We've been blessed to be able to do that with the last year of being the first time to go back to back in all of the years that Oscar Smith's been at the state championship game. And so that was one opportunity. Our guys are already in the weight room and starting to get after it to try to take next year's team even that much higher, and that would be standing on the shoulders of last year's Giants, who were able to basically send this program to a level that it hasn't been to thus far. So with that, I think that would include continuing to play a formidable opponent, and continue for us to get better and better off the field, on the field, and improve coaching wise. So to take the program to where it's never been, I mean, we have an opportunity to hopefully get back to that game, losing some players that helped us get to those games the last 3 years. But I think that would be our long-term goal, and short-term, like you said, to hopefully be able to play some of those talented teams that surround our state or that are inside the state, for that matter, to just continue to take Virginia football higher and higher. And I think that that's a big thing that all of our teams do, whether that's, the 757, the 804, and so on, all the way up to to Northern Virginia. That's what our young men are doing. And I think that our programs are doing that as well. And so whatever that next option, an opportunity is, we're going to be ready to answer that call.
This will be my last question for you, Coach, and since it is my last question, I got to put you on the hot seat. Now, like I said, that's your response for what's next for the Tigers. Since you're my friend, and maybe you don't think about these things, but since you're my friend, I think about these things for you. I know that this past offseason, when the Norfolk State job came open, I had a reporter come to me and say, "Oh, man, they're going to call Coach Chris Scott." And I was like, man, wouldn't that be crazy? Then I think about it, I was like, well, who would be better at recruiting the 757 and building a bridge around the local talent than Coach Chris Scott? But let's say, because that's not where your focus is right now, let's say that 5, 10, 15 years from now, you continue on building this huge dynasty that is the Oscar Smith Tigers, or continuing on the dynasty that they already had. Is there ever an interest for you to look to that next level, to think collegiate or even?
Yeah, I think that one of college coaches that I've remained in contact with, Chris Beatty, he had a saying that was always, "I'm always interested," and he said he's always interested, and that was something that's kind of stuck with me. and you're always interested in listening to opportunities. However, you obviously have to decide whether or not that opportunity is the right place or the right time. And I can tell you right now that I'm at the best opportunity I've had in all of my college career. And I've been at some really special places, at some special spots. But in regards to being challenged at that collegiate level, if the opportunity came, I'd be interested to listen and to see what that would present. And as Coach Beatty taught me, always be interested. That doesn't mean that you would take the job by any means, or and if that opportunity isn't better than what you already have. But I love where we are. I love what we're doing, and I think we got a chance to keep doing it for a really long time.
I'm just gonna mark that down. That Coach Elijah Brooks at DeMatha, I think it was after 4 consecutive titles that he made that jump to UMD and Coach Loxley. But we'll just write all of that down. Coach Scott, again, congratulations on your 3rd title, back-to-back titles for the Oscar Smith Tigers, representing the 757. Congratulations and thank you for stopping
Yes, sir.
by.
Thank you so much.
Ricardo Report, bruh.